Hello guys! The quality of this video is gonna be bad, visually, because the light is just what it is. It is a bad day and I cannot fix it, so we just gonna roll with it. But as always, you guys need to hear me, not see this, so it's fine. It's good. I said that the next video would be me talking about the books that you guys told me that were your favorites that I have already read. I lied. I'm here to talk about reading and reading more in the new year. Olive from a Book Olive did a video about this, and so did Steve from Steve Dognews channel. And I wanted to enter the discussion, but they already said what I think it is the foundation of what you say for this. I agree with everything they said. I'm just almost everything, probably. I'm not gonna say everything. They touched about everything I could say, but then I remember there is a slight contribution I can give and put out there. And it's going to be for dyslexic people that want to read more. I know that this is not for everybody, but since I am dyslexic and I have lived with this all my life, I have used all the techniques, all the advices for people that don't have dyslexic, and that they work fine. They are part of what I use, and I think that they serve a purpose for everybody. But there's slight things that if you have dyslexia you want to have in consideration. So I decided to do a video talking about that. Like I said, I'm not gonna talk the rules that apply to everybody, because to be honest, they have been covered. The ground has been laid down. It is there. I will leave the videos, Steve's and Olive's videos, in the description. If by any chance I forgot by the time I upload this, leave me a comment telling me that I forgot, and I will add it. Because it happens, because I filmed this one day and I usually upload it 1 or 2 days because of my not so good internet. So I have to do it in the mornings, like 4 a.m. in the morning, when nobody else is awake. And I don't need to be using the internet that much for work. Anyway, let's just jump into this, because this was way too big introduction and you guys want the meat of it. So, like I said, the usual things like read what you like and find the time, of course they apply. You should do that. But first thing that I want to talk about is it is gonna require more effort from you, and that's okay. If you have dyslexia, it is going to require double or triple the effort to read, and to read a certain number of things and a certain number of pages than it's required from people that do not have this. It's just what it is. Accept that fact, make peace with it. It's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but the more effort you put in, the bigger the reward. So it will cost quite a bit at the beginning, especially depending on the level of dyslexia you have. If you have quite, if you struggle with it a lot, because it's, as everything, it's not equal for everybody. Somebody have it a little bit worse than others. So it will, of course, depend on that. But again, the more effort you put in, the bigger the reward. Because when you get to, I don't want to call it this, but I think it is the best way for you guys to understand what I mean. If you get to that platform that you say that is the norm for everybody, for normal people, or for people that do not have any type of things that make them read worse, or I don't want to call it names that don't hurt, but I think you get my point. And you get that platform, it will feel a lot better because you put all of that effort in. So do it. Number 2 is be honest with yourself. If you have already been reading, You probably know where you are at. If you are gonna start reading for real, you're probably gonna not exactly know where you are at the moment, and you have to find it out. But be honest with yourself. What's your level of capacities at that moment? What can and can you not read easily? What's your biggest struggles? You have to acknowledge them in order to work on them. So be really honest with yourself. Do this work. You don't need to put it out there. I have my own struggles, and still have, and I read quite a lot. But be honest with yourself, because you need to know exactly what's the big problem here and what can you read easily, how much time can you read, how much time do you take reading a paragraph. Do the measurements, I mean, for yourself, of course, but do this, some exercises like reading a page. See a standardized page that like most books have it. Don't go like to mass market paperbacks or special editions or anything. The standardized. See how much time do you take reading that page, take reading a paragraph, what are your struggles. Identify all of that, because if you're not honest there, you cannot improve. Now, I talked about a normal size because print size matters and font matters, and matters a lot. Now, I have to say that for us, and many people may not agree with me, but Kindles are better than books if you have dyslexia. They simply are. Because they have a font that I do not remember the name at the moment. I should have checked right before I started. I'm sorry, phone, let's ignore it. I should have checked the name, but they have a font that is basically made for dyslexia people. I think it's... the name is close to dyslexia. You can identify it if you go to the settings of your Kindle. That it makes reading easier for people with dyslexia, and adding to that, you can control the size of the lettering and the spacement, some of them. I'm not sure if it's all of them, but at least the size of the letter and the font you can control, and that's amazing, and that makes total difference. Because if you have dyslexia and you read a normal book, page, standard format, let's say, like normal book page, standard format, standard spacement and lettering, everything. This is gonna be easier than a mass market paperback. It's just gonna be easier because it's you have more spaces in between. Oh, I am so sorry. I will put this in silence. I wasn't expecting to be bothered. Anyway, let's continue. You have more spaces in between the lines, and it's just easier for your brain to not lose yourself in between the lines. If it's a mass market paperback, everything looks like a solid block of text, and it's really easy for your eye to wander. Plus, some books have a slightly different font, and some fonts make it, even if it's this type of book, make it look like it is a solid block of text. So yeah, Kindle is better. It's just better for us. But you can I'm looking to my notes here, I'm sorry. You can totally find books that are better than others, and there's the books that are made for people that have problems reading small letters, the large print. There is no shame in getting one of those books if you can. Just grab them, because you will read them much better, because again, larger print, more spaces in between letters, it just works better. There is no shame in getting those books if you can. Just saying, you will read it better. But again, Kindles, they still better because you can have all the books in the type of letter that is best for you, in the font, and you can manipulate the size and the spacement on every book. So on that thing, Kindles do win. And I mean, I love my books, but if I could change all of their lettering type and spacement and size, I would. I certainly would. Now, the next one, it is one that it's talked for everybody, but I want to do a note to it, that is no distractions. No distractions once ever. Just no. Just turn off the phone. Don't talk to people. Tell people that you're gonna have your moment for reading, because you need to concentrate. And this is a thing, like I said, it's gonna require effort, and it's gonna require double or triple the effort for you. So concentrate on it. But, and this is where it, for me, it's a little bit different for other people, take breaks. This is like a muscle that you are training. And if you start, if you want to read, if you want to run, for example, you don't start running half an hour every day and you do the half an hour at normal speed. That's not how it works. If you start it, you are like, if you do the 5 minutes every day on the first days, you are blessed, basically. This is the same thing. You're gonna get tired, so you're gonna have to do breaks. But be careful on those breaks. Don't get distracted. Make those breaks something that takes your brain out of the reading, but also out of the screens. Move around the house, do exercise, take 10 minutes, go outside, walk a little bit, come back in, play with the pets, hug a person from your family, talk with them just a little bit, but make it a controlled break. Don't go on a tangent. Relax a little bit and then go back to it. It will help you, because at the beginning I noticed myself that I started reading, concentrated, fully going to it. My velocity reading increased a little bit, and then it started decreasing enormously. That's when you need to take a break from it. Because, like I said, you put more effort than it's for normal people to keep reading. So you take breaks, controlled breaks. If you do this in a consistent manner, you monitorize the time and all of that, you're going to find out that the breaks are going to get smaller and smaller, and your times of reading going to get bigger and bigger. And for me, at this point when I don't even need to move. I just need to not look at the book. I pet the cat, look out the window, have like a couple of seconds on this, and then immediately get back to it with no problem and max speed at this point. I mean, max speed that I can now. I hope to increase it still. So yeah, do that. Also, on this point, I heard people say, and I used to agree with it, that you should jump in between books, in between formats, like comics, Kindles, books, like regular books, children's books, audiobooks. Just jump, just keep jumping. It does help a little bit, and there's no problem in having lots of books going in at the same go if you have the memory for it. I can totally do that. But it's not that great. I find out that it's actually better to actually have a break, give your brain a little rest, and then go back to it. When you go back, if you want to go back to another book, go back to a different book, have like 2 or 3 in a rotation if you find out that it helps you. But don't make the break being going to another book. Make the break not look at a book, if this makes sense. It will increase your productivity while reading. I mean, that doesn't sound completely right, but you know what I mean. It's better than simply just jump from book to book. So enough of this one. let me check which is the next point that I wanted to say. Oh, this one. It's another one that is just, that is, use audiobooks, but use them wisely. And when I say wisely, is not just reading absently, just listening to it absently, not, God forbid, listen to it while reading a book. That's just gonna make things a little bit confused. Don't do that. What I want to say with that is just like, for me, I have really difficult time sometimes when I will use a proper example because I think it's better. Normal books in like English, speaking English, but the great majority that are written in English. This is starting well. The great majority of books that are written in English, their sentence have a proper rhythm, almost like it is a dance. It's almost like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. If that makes any sense for you, it makes lots of sense in my head. For example, when I started Virginia Woolf, big problem that I had with her is that the rhythm of her sentences is completely different from that. It has nothing to do with that. It feels more like a stroll down, like near a river in a very warm afternoon, in like a casual conversation, than a dance. It's completely different. It's like slower and more elaborate in a way. So I was trying to impose the normal rhythm that I'm used to into her writing. And that was like dividing phrases when they shouldn't be divided. And it was making so I couldn't even understood what the hell it was written. So that was a major problem. I took ages reading her things because I had to read the same page time and time again. What I did, in order to be able to appreciate her work and see her genius, was learn her rhythm. So I put an audiobook and I listened to it, like just really listen to it, not just hearing it while I was doing another things. I listened to it. I listened to the rhythm of and the words and how she worked her phrases. I cannot for the life of me talk about grammatical terms, but I hope I am transmitting the right idea here. And what I did after listening to a certain amount, I paused it, I picked up the book, or sometimes I would take it from Project Gutenberg or such, and read that passage and see if I had the rhythm of it. And it worked. I heard somebody telling me how to read that phrase that had a different rhythm. It worked. This is what I think we should take off audiobooks to make them productive and help us read. I mean, I listen to audiobooks all the time without having this problem because, like you guys know, I'm an artist. I spend my mornings just mindlessly coloring and painting and drawing, and it doesn't engage this after a while. The first part of sketching, it might engage it, but after that, it's like muscle memory, and this goes blank. So I do use audiobooks to keep my mind entertained. But I try my best to use them as best as possible, and that's an example of how audiobooks make me teach me how to appreciate Virginia Woolf's writing. So when you're feeling that certain author writes in a very strange way you cannot get into the way that they write, listen to an audiobook, listen to somebody that doesn't have any problems reading that book, that text, and then go back to it and see if it makes a difference for you, because chances are it will make at least some kind of difference when you learn the rhythm that author writes. Now, I have spent way too much time on this point. Let me go to the next one. Oh, the next one is Reread Often. We have more problems fixing the information, memorizing the information. So we are bound to forget a lot. It's just our comprehension is usually less than people that do not have dyslexia because we jump words. And at a certain point, we are not going to go back there to get that one word. We can get the whole... Ouch, I'm sorry, I just hit my hand. You can get like the whole understanding of the phrase without that one word that your brain decided it wanted to skip over. But that, in lots of phrases and lots of paragraphs, it makes a difference on what you are going to retain of the book. So reread it often. And the cat is wanting to be covered again. Give me a sec. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. She got off her bed to have a little snack, and then she wanted me to open the blankets so she could get it inside because it is very cold. Where was I? Oh, the rereading. I think I said whatever. I think I said what I needed to say. I just wanted to add on the reread. Take notes. Take notes on the book or post-its inside the book of words you don't understand, of things you wanna go back to it later and reread them, or just reread that part. Something you don't understand, or just like general information. Just take notes in general. It is really difficult to tell you what to take notes, but because people use it in different ways, and I don't use it as the majority of people, to be honest. I don't know, but do take notes. For example, if that part you are reading reminds you of something from another book, say it and see when you reread it if it makes still sense for you, because it just let future you know what's in your head, so when you go the next time you see if past you was right or not. It will work as an incentive if you see that it improves things, like the things that you got, that you find out on a book. It will serve as an incentive next time you read it. On the take notes, fantasy and sci-fi. For all the for your sake, you either write down the names on fantasy and sci-fi books, or you underline them, because believe me, it will pass a couple of chapters and that character is gonna pop out again, and the name is so utterly crazy that you didn't even remember, and you're like, who are you? Who the hell are you? Do not think that you are gonna remember. You are not. I have a slight advantage here, because I have a quite visual memory, so instead of reading the names, what I do is memorize how the word looks. That usually helps, but when there's too many words, strange words, too many strange names, I just write them down. Even me, because it's too much. And believe me, some fantasy books, the good ones, usually with the strange name, they attached a simple description on the first time that character appears. It mentions like the hair color or the outfit or something that it's like consistent on that character, and that helps. But that's just like 5% of fantasy and sci-fi books. Do not expect all the books to do this. With that saying, read sci-fi and fantasy books instead of listening to them. Because a couple, you will be introduced to a character, and then like 15-20 minutes that carrot will pop out again. Narrator will say the word out loud, and you'll be like, who? Who are you talking about? What is this person whose the name I'm even unable to pronounce because it's just gibberish? Write down. Do that for fantasy and sci-fi. You will need it. You may even need it if you are reading a book about a country that is so different from you that like the places and the names of the people are really different from what you are accustomed. Like some Asian names, depending. Yeah, some Asian names for me. Asian books, if it's Japanese, it's okay. If it's gonna like Korean or Chinese or other countries, I mean, I think I'm only okay with Japanese, to be honest, because they have a very similar. The words sound very similar to Portuguese in a way, because we did influence their language in a way. So it's different in Japanese for some reason. But if it's not Japanese and it's something Asian, I just have a post-it bloke. I don't even put it on the book sometimes. I just have like a piece of paper tucked inside the book where I'm gonna put like the names and description of who the hell is that character, what is that place or that god or that temple or that country. So write down, and do not listen to that if you don't, to books that you don't understand all the words. Don't do that to yourself. Where was I? We're almost done. There's just two things that I want to talk about, and is this one some people do and some people don't. But keep a record of how many books you read per month, per year, depending on your preferences. And I would even say keep a mental, doesn't need to be written, but keep a mental record of the time you take to read the books. Because if you don't have a record, you won't see the improvement that easily. And it's going to be very slow at first. It's really going to be really slow. You will pick up your pace once you pass a certain level of reading capacity. But at the beginning, it will be really slow. If you don't keep a record of how many books you read per month or per year, or the time that you take to read a page or a certain number of pages, or a book with a certain number of pages, you won't see that improvement happen. You simply won't, and it will get discouraged and you probably will stop. So keep a record and be truthful on that record. Don't say you read things that you didn't. Keep a truthful record and just look at it and see that it's improving, even if it's real slow. On that topic of keeping a record, still one topic left after this. Okay, sorry. My letter is sometimes bad even for me, so I take a moment reading it. So anyway, by keeping a record, you may also want to keep some kind of journal. Like I said, you are not probably gonna remember as much of a text as normal people. With people without dyslexia. So if you keep a journal, a simple notebook, something cheap, you don't need anything grand. With the books that you have read, just put the name of the book, the author, the number of pages. I would encourage you to put that, or at least have access to that. I mean, you do have goodreads to see that. You can do this on Goodreads. You don't need to do on the journal, but I would say keep a journal, because we do need to write. This affects the component of writing too. So I would say keep a journal with you. Put the name of the book, the name of the author, the pages, the date, so you know when you started and when you finish reading it, and you know the time. And write a little summary of the book, and what you thought about it. It doesn't need to be a professional review. It's just so you can remember what that book is about and why you liked it or why you didn't. Because chances are, especially in the beginning phases, it's going to be really hard for you to remember all of that. The first books I read, everything is really foggy in my memory. Even the ones I like the Inheritance Cycle, the Eragon books. I really liked that books back then. I'm pretty sure I won't like them as much now, but I really liked them back then. And I know the gist of it. If you ask me for the details or names that are not like the very obvious ones, I won't be able to tell you. It's really, really foggy on my mind. And I love those books. I talked about them all the time back then. But now, really, really foggy. And other books that I even read on the past year that I didn't like as much, and maybe I heard a little bit on them because I had no obligation to pay full attention, because if you have dyslexia, paying full attention and not paying full attention is really different from when you don't have dyslexia. It goes like for getting 90% to 100% of the book on your head to 50 or to 60% or less if you trying to get over with it. So keep a record of it. What you liked about it, what you don't like it. Something simple. You can't just make it like a couple of words, but do it. It will help you, and it will help you with keeping a record. It will help you knowing what you read and if you like it or not. Last one. I promise this is the last one. This is hell of a huge video already. It's subvocalizing. It's possible, but it's really, really hard. I'm still on the process to fully do this. I take a little bit to do it while I'm reading. I have to be like really focused, really like shutting my brain, like telling myself do not read it. And when I do it, I still get less of the book that I would if I didn't do. So I'm still in the process of teaching myself how to not do this. But you can totally do it, because I have done it. I just need to keep at it. But it's gonna be real painful. It actually, on the first times, it made my head hurt. Not gonna lie, it made my head hurt. I can do it now, but still with a lot of effort. So try it if you want to, but this is not your priority if you are starting. If you are on those first stages when you can not even see your progress, don't worry with vocalizing or not. Do your thing. Read as you read. Go, just do the rest of the tips. Don't do this. If you are higher on that scale, if you have done all the steps, if you are feeling that you can do it, if you're confident that you can do it, try it. But it's not your priority right now, because if you try it, it's going to be really discouraging if you are on those first stages. Just first get used to read on a daily basis, get your muscles trained, and then you go for it. But it is possible, and then you get to the stage that you feel you can do it, do it. Again, still training myself, but it's happening and it's possible. So yeah, this was a long video. I wanted to make this conversation way shorter. I apologize, but hey, it's done. I hope that this helps somebody. If you have anything to add, if by any chance you have dyslexia, have anything to add, let me know, because I usually don't hear people. I mean, I've watched some videos talking about this, like how to read more if you have dyslexia, and they are really superficial. I don't I don't want to be mean with anybody. I'm not accusing people of doing anything, but it feels really superficial and not addressing the problems, or like being completely honest that it's gonna be hell at the beginning, depending how much your dyslexia affects your reading. It's gonna be really hard. It doesn't feel that honest, and we do have to be really honest and put on the effort, the help of grace to be able to do this. And I'm feeling that I've talked so much that I expanded my words again. So it's about time for us to stop this, and I do have to get back to work. So yeah, I hope this helped. If you have any comments, any things you want to ask, any things you want to add, and leave it on the comments, please. I'm more than happy to talk more about this topic. I was gonna add on this, to be honest, some tips on school, but this is gonna be about reading, not school itself. If by any chance you want to know how I survived school, let me know. That can be a thing. But yeah, that's all I wanted to talk for now. So bye, guys.